Hey there, welcome to Site Boosters. If you're into tech tips that make life easier, fascinating facts you've never heard before, and the latest updates in cloud computing, AI, and all things tech, you're in the right place. Make sure to subscribe and tap the notification bell so you never miss a future upload. Let's dive right into the video.
Service accounts belong to your application or VM instance instead of to an individual user. They're used by your application to call the Google API or service so that users aren't directly involved in the authentication process. Each service account is identified by its unique email address. Service accounts are associated with a key pair and can have up to 10 key pairs associated with them to facilitate key rotation, which is managed by Google and done daily. Service accounts enable authentication and authorization because you can assign specific IAM roles to a service account. You can create external keys to be used from outside GCP. They require that you manage the security of the private key and perform management operations such as key rotation. External keys are manageable through the IAM API, G-Cloud, and the GCP console. You can optionally use API keys to call certain APIs that don't need to access private user data. API keys are useful in clients such as browser and mobile applications that don't have a back-end server. The API key is used to track API requests associated with your project for quota and billing. You can define many non-default service accounts in a project. The diagram shows a use case to manage many microservices in a single cloud project by letting each microservice be represented by its own service account. Granularity is employed by specifying which service accounts are allowed to call which other services. To use a service account in your application, first create the service account via the console. You then generate and download your credentials file, and then you can set an environment variable with the path to your downloaded credentials. The example shows commands to set the environment variable in both Linux, OS X, and Windows. You can then make an authenticated API request in your code. The example code is in Python and shows that if you don't explicitly specify credentials when constructing a client, the client library will look for credentials in the environment. Google uses credentials to identify your application for quota and billing, and to authorize access to GCP APIs, resources, and features. GCP client libraries use Application Default Credentials, or ADC, to find your application's credentials. Credentials are checked for in the following order. ADC will check for the Google Application Credentials environment variable. If the environment variable is set, ADC will use the service account file that the variable points to. If the environment variable isn't set, ADC will use the default service account that Compute Engine, Google Kubernetes Engine, App Engine, and Cloud Functions provide, assuming that your application runs on those services. If neither the environment variable nor the default service accounts can be found, an error will occur. The example demonstrates using Python to implicitly find the credentials, assuming that either the environment variable is set or the application is running on Compute Engine, Google Kubernetes Engine, App Engine, or Cloud Functions. Remember the following best practices when using Cloud IAM. Follow the principle of least privilege. Use predefined roles, more granular access when possible. Grant predefined roles to identities when possible, so you only give the least amount of access necessary to access your resources. Grant roles at the smallest scope needed. Restrict who can create and manage service accounts in your project. Rotate service account keys regularly and implement processes to manage user-managed service account keys. Don't check in service account keys to source code. Use Cloud Audit Logging to regularly audit changes to your IAM policy and export logs to cloud storage. Set organization-level IAM policies to grant access to all projects in your organization and grant roles to a Google group instead of to individual users when possible.
Thanks for watching. Like, share, and subscribe. See you next time.